Hello guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to this new era of the channel. Today I'm having here this Fiat Linea with a 1.3 multi-jet engine. And the symptom is, sometimes, not always, after a long drive, like a medium long drive, for about 20 kilometers, 15 minutes after the car is stopped, the car is very difficult to start again. I have this clip here from the customer to show you what is the symptom. Now, this problem may happen for several causes. The battery, the starter and the alternator are the main things to see, to check on this case, okay? Normally the problem is really the starter motor, and normally the starter motor goes out because of a water leak from the EGR pipes, the coolant pipes for the EGR, directly on top of the starter motor. Okay, that usually is the problem. But one thing that you have to have in mind is the history of the car. And I know for a fact, because this car went to the workshop that I did work on, the water pump went out. Okay, the water pump seized up, and the accessories belt that also turned the alternator came off, and the car stopped because the battery went completely out of juice. Okay, once I had the car on the workshop, I noticed the issue, and I told the customer, beware, because maybe you have some issues on the inside of the engine, because the water pump was not present, and the engine apparently did not heat up, but we don't know. Okay, so this issue, this non-start or difficult start issue, appeared after that water pump seized up and throwing the accessories belt out. Okay, the battery is new, of course, because the other one it was completely dead and non-rechargeable. So my idea here is, and I hope I'm wrong, issue on the head gasket or on the head, and water is filling up onto the cylinders, creating a hydrolock. I hope that's not it. I hope it is just the starter, or maybe it's both, because the starter is getting tired of pushing the hydrolock. Let's see. I also created a documentation to check with the customer what I'm doing and what he wants to do, to be as professional as I can on this new chapter of the channel. And as I'm doing this road test, these kilometers, to see if the car will do the symptom, because I have to recreate the symptom that the customer told me, because I want to see what is the symptom myself. While I have the symptom present, I will do 4 things to make sure it is hydrolock. I take out the air intake box and take out the 4 glow plugs. And what I'm doing with that is trying to start the car and see if water and if antifreeze comes out of the holes for the glow plugs. If that is true, it's gone. It's gone. Oh man, I hope not. Before I do any work on the car related to the customer complaint, I like to do always a very thorough road test, not only for the customer complaint, but also to understand other issues that the car may have. And right now I can hear a very loud bang and a tock noise on the suspension. Whoa, that is huge. And make sure to have, I like to have a piece of road that has all the conditions that I need. It has uphills to do power tests, it has downhills to do braking tests, it has roads with a lot of potholes to do suspension testing. Yeah, it has some issues. So now I will write this down on my trusty, yeah, and I think it is front left, most of it. but maybe also on the right. Probably a sway bar link or something like that. Probably. Let's check out now, because when I have the car on the air to do the oil change that I will do on this car too, and to do the customer complaint, I can check out more thoroughly the place that I may have on the suspension. And afterwards, after doing the job, I will do another road test to see if what I did, the repairs that I did, were successful. Because the thing with noises is, sometimes you take out 10 noises and another 5 of 10 that were not too loud now appear to be happening. This road test that I like to do it for at least 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes, because I like to check also the temperature of the motor, of the engine, to see if the thermostat is working correctly, if the car is not overheating, for example. In this way, not only am I checking all the parameters that I can on the car, power-wise and brakes-wise, and the noises and all that. Also, I'm checking for the behavior of the engine, and in this way, the engine being really hot, I will be able to replace the fluids much more easily and efficiently. So here, before shutting off the car, I want to check the fan of the radiator of the engine. It's stopping and going. The interval between cycles, it is a little bit short, okay? And I want to see the level of the coolant. That reservoir over there makes me think something is wrong with this, okay? But let's check one thing at a time. I also want to check the pressure of the system. If I have an issue on the cooling system, I may have pressure or low level of coolant. I also have to check with the customer if it is adding coolant onto the system. If it is not, maybe the issue is not there. Also, I want to check here the lights, if everything is working with the lights. I want to see the blinkers. Here in Europe, we have this color of blinkers, and if the color is a bit off, it will fail on MOT, on technical inspection. Also on the rear, I also check everything. Can you notice here the color? It is a little bit white. It is losing the paint onto the lamp. I also want to see the brake lights. I always do a thorough inspection before starting the work, so I do not miss anything. As you can see, the color of the blinker is a little bit too bright. License plate lights are okay, but the plate itself, it's being a little bit dull. It's not that bright. It's not that bright on the front. Also not that bright. It's getting a little bit foggy, and in MOT it will fail. Also, I have to cover these bolts, the screw heads over here. It is a fault on MOT. You cannot have this in Portugal. It has to be covered up. So let's switch off the engine and see what's what. So the thing is, when it is the starter, normally after shutting off, I did about 45 minutes of running time. If it is starter, right away it will be slow. It is doing the issue. So as you can see, we found the problem. So I will take out the spark plugs really quick, but I think the issue is really the starter, because there is no way the water can enter so quickly onto the combustion chamber. There is no way. I can also spin the engine by hand. So the glow plugs are loosened. Yeah, that is not a good sign, because it means that the engine already did overheat a bunch. Maybe that one time that the water pump went out. The clicking may be the engine not be able to turn, or the starter itself going out. If it is water on the inside of the cylinders, it will pull up anyway. For example, with the glow plugs out, if the starter clicks anyway, the coolant will pull into the cylinders, creating the symptom. And once the engine is colder, I will turn the ignition again, and in that time, if coolant comes out of the holes, I know now I have a problem on the engine. But I am feeling confident the problem, it is not. It is maybe on the starter, and I will see here. And I also will check here the pressure onto the reservoir, if it is a lot of pressure or not. We know that we have to have some pressure on the system. I already have videos for that. So let's do a step at a time to make sure everything is according to plan. Let's see here. Oh, so no pressure, absolutely no pressure. It appears to be a good thing, but in fact it is not, because you have to create some pressure because of the boiling of the coolant. And I can see here that the cover is not good quality at all. So maybe the pressure passes through here, or the pressure is passing through the head gasket or the oil cooler or the EGR cooler. Something is wrong. Definitely not supposed to be like this. So we may have a problem on the starter and on the cooling system. Schnizzles. So I have original cover here, the original cap. Let's see if this reservoir will do for this cap. And then we have to do another road test. It went too easy, I believe. So that hole over there where the O-ring works, it may be too large for this application. Well, so the pressure in that way will not raise up. That's messed up. I have to do some measurements. So let me see if I can show you. Normally, you have the starter over here, and those rubber hoses that are attached to the EGR assembly, normally they leak, but I can see some clamps that are not original. So maybe this issue was present in the past, and now it is solved. Here we have the starter number. I have to take that in consideration to put a new and more powerful starter motor. This is the 1.3 kilowatt. I believe 1.5 or 7, it is the new one. So I was checking here for place on the ball joint, nothing. On the sway bar link, nothing. On the tie rods, inner and out, nothing. And then I just saw it and follow the rust, guys. Follow the rust. It's loose. The caliper is loose. Oh my god. The top one too. So that was the noise issue. The top one was also loosened. So I have to check the other side of the car for this. Just to be sure, I have to put a long tube to do the torquing over here, or grab my torque wrench and do it properly. Okay, Bruno. So here we go. I will give it 120 Newton meters. I think it's quite enough. Okay, it's now the other side. So not as much, but it is also loose. Okay, now the top one. Even if this does not solve the issue of the noise, at least now the brakes are secure. So I'm draining here the oil to this reservoir, and I'm noticing here 4.5 liters of oil. This engine should only use 3.2. What is up here? I know for a fact that the level was good on the dipstick, so either the dipstick is not from this car or there is something wrong with the dipstick tube. What the hell is happening here? It's very bad to have 1 liter more, or more than 1 liter, of oil on the engine, on any engine for that matter. So the dipstick tube is out of place. It should be on that flange or there, be next to the rubber part, which tells me that the tube may be not attached or something else. I think it is attached up there. Let me see it better on other angle, but this engine was already disassembled, at least part of it. So something is off on this engine. Something is off. Okay, something is off with this pipe. It is crooked on this lower part. This is supposed to be flush with the seal on the oil sump. It is crooked on this area. I have several marks of tools. Maybe an accident on the lower oil sump. This is completely wrong. Completely. I'll try to find a picture online to see the correct way of this pipe. But maybe I have to order a new or good used one to put into this engine, because this is a mess. And this will have much more oil that it is needed and can damage the engine. Oh my god, this is awful. How can someone do this? Definitely something is wrong on the inside. Look at that mark. Because I try to push it in without the screw over here, and it will not go in more than this mark over here. What the hell? So I'm trying here to figure out what happened to this engine to again try to figure out why does the car not start also that. Maybe the car had, well, the car had an accident at some point because the headlights are not original. Well, they are original, but not from factory. They are replacement ones. And maybe the engine with the impact went full onto the firewall and bent this pipe. Maybe it was that, because I can notice here this engine support is a bit more new than the engine itself. So maybe that was what happened. Maybe that. And how can that be linked to the non-start issue? Well, I have to replace this for a new original one. I have to replace the starter, and let's see. I also took out here the cabin air filter. It is quite dirty, and it is very dangerous to be breathing this stuff, so I will advise for replacement of the cabin air filter. I will not blow onto the filter with the compressor. At max, I will do just like so. Nothing more than this, because I will not want to be breathing this stuff, okay? And if for the customer it is good, it is also good for me. The same thing here with the air filter for the engine. It is on its way out. For me, it is no longer advisable to use it. If the customer does not want to replace it, I will not blow on it. My health worth more than just 10 bucks for a air filter, okay? At max, again, I will just tap it. If you want to know how to remove the cabin air filter for this model, you have to take out the Blue in Me if the car has Blue in Me, okay? Just 2 screws to remove here the Blue in Me on this part, here and here, and then it will come out. Then you can take out the glove box via those 2 tabs, that one over there and that one over there. And there on the hole you have the cabin air filter. Just with this simple cover, no screws, just take it out and replace your cabin air filter. So here we go. Ignition on, start, and it kicks right in. The first time you start your engine, a message for low oil pressure may appear only the first time after replacing the oil for the engine, okay? Only the first time. A problem with the starter is now confirmed. As soon as you have your engine cold, starter cold, it will start, no issues. So I did took out the glow plugs, I did start the engine or rotated the engine, and nothing came out whatsoever, okay? But that does not mean I do not have a problem on the engine, because as you know right now, I have this reservoir that is not good at all. I have 25 millimeters of diameter over here, and right here is 27, so this will never seal. Until I have a good pressure, a normal pressure on the system, now or then, you can develop or show some issue on the inside of the engine. So I will tell the customer he needs a new original reservoir, a quality one, and he needs a new starter. From then on, let's see if something else appears. And also the dipstick tube over here, I was able to straighten that out. It is now reading correct, but the pipe has a lot of damage, and I will ask for a new one if the customer wants so. For this first part, it is done, okay? I will do a follow-up video for this issue for the starter, maybe a tutorial for the starter, and then do a follow-up of the issues of the car if the customer wants to go on with that, okay? So back here on the final test drive, I can hear and feel that the noise disappeared, which is nice. I'm choosing here to run over the potholes on purpose to make sure that the symptom of the noise disappeared, and in fact it did. If I still have something on the suspension in terms of noise, usually sometimes is the shock absorbers, the shaft of the shock absorbers that itself is starting to wobble, and also the suspension mount, the top mount, sometimes it starts to be a little bit bad. On these cars it's very common, and the puntos and the doblos and whatnot. If you do this and you are stationary and you hear a spring jumping, tong 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 tong, is the top mounts. The bearing on the top mount, it seizes, normally on the left side, it's the first one to go, and starts to make a noise. I believe these ones are not yet, but I can feel and hear some grind. So it may start to happen at any moment now. So on a later video you'll see the assembly of the starter motor if the customer wants to go ahead with that, and also the part of the reservoir, the coolant reservoir, a good quality one, the original one will be the best for that. And guys, down on the description there is a lot of information that can and will be useful for you. Videos related to this one and other videos related to all things Alfa Romeo, Fiat and Fiat Group, okay? Down on the description also there are 2 links for helps for the channel, one of which is a link for Patreon. Patreon is a page that supports the content creators, and I mean it. For a small fee every month you will be able to help the channel big time, okay? See you next time guys, bye!